Well, good morning. Thanks for watching the replay. My name is Colleen Hammond. This is Coffee with Colleen. We do this every Monday through Friday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock in London, and midnight in Melbourne, Australia. Every day we try to discuss something going on in the news. We'll be bringing you interviews in the coming weeks and trying to discuss topics that impact your day. We try to. Like today, we're talking about what to do after you've made a mistake, if you've made a mistake. And this is the pre-show, where we get together and sip our coffee, make sure our coffee is ready to go, and just talk about things that are happening. So how is everybody this morning? I have my notes ready to go. I've got everything. Doing green screen this morning. I had some green screen videos that I shot last night, and I have some more green screen work that I need to be doing later on today. So I just left the green screen up and figured we'd go green screen today. We'd green screen it. Do some chroma key. Tom's here. Hey, Tom. You normally catch us on replay. Victoria, Terry, Lori. Fantastic. Let me turn this damn doggone thing, man. It's supposed to mute the app. Mute app for 3 hours. Because I keep getting all these Periscope notifications. And it vibrates the whole desk. So anyway, so how is everybody this morning? Any big plans for the weekend? You have plans for New Year's Eve? What do you normally do on New Year's Eve? We call it amateur night and we normally stay indoors. So don't like to get out and mess with people and traffic and goings on. We used to do, when Dennis and I were first married and still living in Michigan, we did a Christmas Eve party or New Year's Eve party and put a basket by the door where everybody was required to put their keys. And if you came to the party, you were required to spend the night. So everybody would just crash on the floor in sleeping bags, on sofas, wherever. In the morning, we'd have a big breakfast and everybody would go home. So we haven't done that in a long time, obviously. Hey, Pam, checking in. Spoke with both your babies this morning. Doing great. Oh, Evie's already up and walking around after a kidney transplant. Goodness gracious. John Michael's a little bit slower. Oops. Slower walking around. They're on the road to recovery. Praise God. Praise God. That's such great news. Thank you so much for letting us know, Pam. We've been praying for months, I swear. It's been a long time coming. So what a joy to be able to share this great news. Hey, good morning, Lori. My sister Lori's here. Grab your second cup of coffee. That's why you need a big mug. My second cup of coffee is like a second pot of coffee. So, yeah, I know things are going to be slow today. It's Friday. I'm going to run around, do some errands. I have to run into town. Did you see the panna cotta we made last night? Made it. There's a picture of it on my feed. And then I've got some. Oh gosh, I found out that one of the things that I'm promoting right now is sending out the wrong email. So as soon as we get off the air, I have to fix that. And then I'm going to learn Wirecast over the weekend. Got to have this thing figured out. Good morning, Helena. What are you drinking up this morning? Pam says both their kidneys are working well. Wow. So, well, no problem for the prayers, Pam. Gosh, like I said, my son had, 7 surgeries in, I think 11 years. Time he was 4 to 13, so 9 years. How's my math? Still working on my first cup of coffee. So I know what it's like to be there kneeling in the waiting room, you know. Morning, Vicky. Yeah, Victoria. Did you go by Vicky or Victoria? Or Tori? This New Year snuck up on me. We were doing a big promotion like New Year, New You type of thing. And I got a notification from the gal that's working with me. And she said, you do realize that that's like this week? I said, nah, I completely forgot. In my head, it was like a week and a half from now for some reason. I got the 12 days of Christmas. I forgot that like New Year's Day comes really quick. So good Friday morning, Debbie. Bright and sunny in Northern Illinois. Whereabouts in Northern Illinois? We had lots of friends in the Chicagoland area. Chirac. 32 and cloudy here. I haven't been outside yet. I slept in this morning. We had goings on again in the middle of the night. So, yeah, high of 50 something today, it looks like. 59. So 32 right now. Oh, not as bad tomorrow night. Well, no wonder my feet were cold. My feet are always cold, though. So, the big plans, I think, for us is staining. I have to stain some cabinets this weekend. And so that'll be nice because it's going to be sunny and 60 in the mid-60s. Saturday, Sunday, 70 on Monday. So it'll be nice to stain and be able to open the windows and let all the fumes get out of the house. Geneva, okay, I'm not familiar with that. You like Victoria best because it's elegant, but friends of the family called me Vicky or Vic. Got it. Vic, that reminds me of Longmire. Anybody ever watch Longmire? It was on A&E for a while. And I think Netflix picked it up. A really nice show. I really liked it. And actually, when Netflix picked it up, I think they did a better job with it. No, those Netflix originals, Netflix does a really good job. They really do a good job. We've watched some of the Netflix originals from overseas, and I was just watching one called 3%, and that's from Brazil, which is kind of funny because it's not it has English subtitles, but they dubbed it into English. I thought that went out with like the King Kong movies and the that kind of stuff, but so it's kind of weird because when they dub it, they're dubbing it in a studio, so they'll be walking down a hallway and they have to put in like footstep sounds, like sound effects, and then they're in a studio, so it doesn't even sound like they're in a hallway. It's kind of weird. My daughter's got me this mug. Thank you, Helena. Already started in your 5 items this morning. You were rocking it yesterday, girl. I was so proud of you. You're like, yeah, I'm done with my kitchen. Like, wow, she's ahead of me. Yeah, you really jumped on it. Yeah, this is well, see, now I'm working in front of a green screen, so this is going to, yeah, see, this will green screen out. You'll be able to see me through my mug. Because it has green on the front of it, but it says like a boss. My daughter's got this for me. I think it's 32 ounces. It's massive. I mean, it's so big, but I don't have to walk around much. I am quite the motivation. Well, thank you. I wish my children felt the same. Look at their rooms. I'll take you on a tour. Never watch Netflix originals. I'm afraid to because of the ratings. You know, that is the one thing that good morning, Rose. That's the one thing you have to be wary of, that some of those Netflix originals are beyond R-rated. So we started watching Sense8, and I love the writing. I love the concept. I love so much about it. But it's very agenda-driven and over the top. And it's hard to handle, it really is. Call the Midwife. I haven't seen the last season or 2 of Call the Midwife. So I'm a little bit behind on that one. So, all right, top of the hour. Let's get started. And we're back. We could either do this or Christmas. We'll have to do a vote. Yeah, Call the Midwife is excellent. I really, really enjoyed it. Very, very much. I've actually read, the woman who wrote Call the Midwife wrote another book on, she passed away of cancer, I believe, but she wrote another book on end-of-life issues and the healthcare system in the UK. And it was very eye-opening, a little bit shocking. But yeah, very, very good writer and a good book, and her story was really quite amazing. But I did find, I haven't watched it in quite some time, but I just remember toward the end that it started to get it seemed a little agenda-ish. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But I remember I quit watching it a couple of years ago, so I'll go back and watch the last couple of seasons. There's a lot of worse things on television right now, by far. So let me get this set up so I can see comments. Good morning, Milena. How are you? Merry Christmas, Natasha. Yes, we're on the 6th day of Christmas, aren't we? Hello, Saul. Christmas. Everyone likes the Christmas. Okay, we'll go back to the Christmas scene. Why not? Why not? Yeah, it's fun to be able to switch the backgrounds, Michelle. That's an advantage of knowing little tips and tricks about producing and green screen. Matter of fact, if you're in the OBS class, that green screen information was uploaded yesterday. So you will now have my tricks of how to use a green screen, which I think are superior, quite frankly. I've watched a lot of people try to teach how to use a green screen. I'm like, I did weather for years. I was in front of chroma key walls for quite some time. And I was with the Weather Channel. It was 4 days a week, 4 to 5 hours a day in front of the camera, in front of a wall, so learned a few things about green screens. So, hey, Brandon, thanks you're here. Good morning, Chelsea. Double shot of espresso. God, I love it. Good morning, Sarah. Hey, there's Sherry. Wondered where you were. Janet, you're just so inspirational with it. She's at the gym again this morning. My. Switching backgrounds in the house worked in real life. Whoa, wouldn't that be great? Yeah, like I said when I first started showing everybody that it was a green screen that I don't have to clean. There's a mess right there. There's just a mess. So... yeah, kind of fun. Also, this background kind of works because you can't see the corner of my screen. I didn't completely crop my shot, so it didn't work out very well. So anyway, yes. So let's talk about what to do after you've made a mistake. Notice I didn't say if you make a mistake, because I think the afterwards is a real sign of character. Because sometimes we do make mistakes, and then what you do with that is the biggie, right? And one of the things that really bothers me when, and I reiterate with my children over and over and over again, own up to it. Just own it. Because the carrying of it, remember we were talking about carrying grudges the other day about how heavy that is. Carrying the burden of knowing you've done something wrong and not repairing the damage is heavier than actually doing it and actually just repairing the damage itself. I am soothing your fussy baby. Oh, that's so sweet, Sarah. That's great. So yeah, what we do with our situation after we've made a mistake. And this came up, I made notes to do this about a week and a half ago. Because something, as per usual, something that happened in my life. And then every morning something else was like, oh, I'll do this instead. I'll do this instead. And these notes got buried further and further down in my Google Docs. And I ran across the other day when I was looking for something else, I just did a search within my Google Docs, and this document popped up and went, oh, I need to do that. That'll be a nice way to lead into Friday, lead into the weekend and into the new year when we're doing a lot of reflecting back. And if there's any mistakes we've made, kind of how to deal with it. Brandon says, when I make a mistake, I immediately focus on recovering from it. That's a good one. So ethics, this is a great quote. Ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. And so it's the story of someone's watching. It was the little girl, and her dad took her out in the middle of the night, and they were going into the neighbor's field or into the neighbor's vegetable garden and stealing food. And she was supposed to be the watch out or the lookout. And so she was standing there, and she said, Daddy, someone's watching. And so he looked around, he goes, where? And he didn't see anybody. He goes, don't scare me like that. And so he keeps in the field, and he's digging up stuff. And she goes, Daddy, someone's watching. And he looks around, he doesn't see anybody. He said, no, stop scaring me like that. Don't do that. If there's not anybody there, don't tell me that. And so he goes back, and she said, Daddy, somebody's watching. And he stands up, he goes, why do you keep saying that? And she said, because God's always watching. So and in our day and age when we do lack privacy, there's cameras everywhere, and there's television screens everywhere. Remember when they put television screens, started putting them in the stores? It just reminds me of that movie, WALL-E. And is Terry here? I'll do my WALL-E impression. WALL-E. And that they had those television screens in front of them constantly, and it kind of feels that way. But that's the difference between what we can do and what we have the right to do and what is right to do. And remembering too that you always have to, you will always be held accountable. Chelsea says, some of a family just sweeping under the rug, never apologize, pretend it never happens, drives me bonkers. Own the mistake and take care of it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I have a problem with that. You know, just have the moral fiber and the character to own up to it and apologize for it. You know, how much does it cost to apologize? It really doesn't. And many times repairing the damage to things we said or did, I mean, you never can totally repair the damage. You know, like we were talking about a piece of wood, you drive a nail in it, you pull the nail out, and then you try to, you know, wood putty it and sand it and stain it, and it's just always there. And that's why I liked that meme. I have to dig that one back out again, where it said, I think it's Japan maybe, where when they have a cracked tea mug, they fill it with jade or gold. They fill it with gold so that it becomes the highlight and it becomes something more memorable than trying to, you know, super glue it back together and you know, so you can tell it's been repaired. So make it something beautiful. It costs pride. Oh, very well said, Helena. This is exactly it. And if we can swallow our pride and learn to grow in humility and repair the damage, imagine if the people who have hurt you came forward today and instead of pretending nothing's ever happened, if they came forward and apologized. You know, and I said we were going to do stuff on addictions and codependency, and I want to talk about thick, tetrahydrozieno, THIQ anyway, which is a substance that's in everybody's body, but people with addictions don't process, you know, their livers don't process as well, and so they overproduce this thick, and once it's in your bloodstream, it's there, and it starts clogging dopamine receptors in your brain and that type of thing. So anyway, we're going to be talking about that as soon as I can get George, get his schedule coordinated with my schedule and get him on the show. But one of the things that the 12-step programs do is you go and you make reparation to people. And it, you know, I remember my girlfriend, when a relative of hers came and said, well, I really want to sit down, I need to apologize. Remember when we were, and you go through specific instances, right? So she came to her and said, remember when we were at that wedding reception and I was so drunk and I was dancing on the table. I just want to apologize for that. And my girlfriend's like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. That was the most boring wedding. You were the highlight of the wedding. You made it a good time, you know. And she went, well, I appreciate that, but I just need to apologize for it. And then there was that time that I was drunk at Uncle Harry's party. And she was, oh my gosh, I remember that. You made me laugh and smile. And, you know, she, and finally the person that was coming and doing her reparation said, okay, I don't think you understand what I'm doing here. I need to apologize because I feel really bad about these things, you know? And my girlfriend was like, oh, okay, well, sorry, but these were some of the highlights for me, you know? And she goes, well, I'm glad you weren't embarrassed, but I was, and I need to apologize for it. So I've always remembered that whenever because I've had people come to me that are going through their 12 steps and apologize for things. And a couple of them, I'm really glad they did. But having dealt with addictions and seeing addictions for, you know, most of my life, I can spot them a mile away now, you know, and having been in Al-Anon, you know, for, gosh, when did I start going to Al-Anon? You know, like right out of college, and having been through CODA and that type of things, you get through, after a while, you kind of recognize it. So I know many times people have come to do their reparations and apologize, and I'm like, I can't even remember the incident, but they did, and they needed to get it off their chest and to ask for forgiveness. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I forgive you. But like I said, some people I'm really glad they did, because, you know, I've been wondering where this apology has been hiding for the past X number of years, right? So admit it, own it, move on. But please don't forget to apologize. Yeah, I agree, Sherry. Dorothy Louise says, do you find that men have a harder time saying that I'm sorry than women too? Yeah. And I think part of the thing, too, is that men do have a harder time with it. So I think when a man apologizes, it means a lot more to me than when a woman apologizes, because sometimes she does it because she knows she's supposed to, and I wonder how sincere it is. I hate to be that way, but it's true. I wonder how sincere it is. But yeah. I would say the opposite. Okay, I don't know what that's in response to, Helena. Janet, I can only pray for apologies for past hurts, yeah. But because it won't happen, I need to go the higher road and forgive them. Yeah, you need to forgive people knowing that you'll never get their forgiveness, or they'll never get their apology. Yeah, I post that. I have that meme. I made it up into a meme, and I post that every once in a while. Sometimes you just have to be big enough to accept the apology you know you'll never get. Chelsea says, I took my oldest outside and had her drop a plate on the rocks. It broke. Asked her to apologize to the plate, then explained that even though she apologized, the plate's still broken, and asked what she could do to fix it. It was a good lesson explaining how the word sorry doesn't fix it. Then, long story about sanding, gluing, repainting, repairing. Yeah, that's beautiful, Chelsea. That's really, really beautiful. I like that one better than the nail in the wood. I guess because we're kind of carpenters around here, and my dad worked with wood and stuff, so... Well, he was more of a handyman. My son works with wood. Oops. And he makes furniture and stuff. But yeah, so that's beautiful. Yeah, because no matter what you do, and I know there are people that go through life just, that's their thing. They just say sorry. Sorry doesn't hack it sometimes, because they think they can do whatever they want. At least they act that way. They can do whatever they want, and then they don't really seem to sincerely feel bad. They just think, oh, sorry. Or like people who are perpetually late. Oh, sorry. Well, to me, sorry means that you're trying to repair it and trying not to do it again. Kind of like if you're Catholic, and I'm Catholic, and I think a lot of people here are Catholic, when you go into the confessional, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Please forgive me. And there has to be a desire to get better and not do it again. So many times when people are like, sorry, 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 and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, those words become very, very hollow. Yeah, I do, Victoria. I think men are more sincere when they apologize because it's harder for them to do it. I really do. I have a person in my life that has broken all my plates. Yeah, I know. I think we all have, somebody in our life that keeps sneaking into our china cupboard and breaking all our plates, So anyway, so what to do after you've made a mistake? Number one, never lie. That's our first protective instinct, is try to protect ourselves, and the little white lies, and, we try to, kind of goes to confirmation bias. We try to look for why we're right. Why we were right to do it, why we were right to say it, why we were right to, so it's kind of that self-justification. But we have to really peel back the layers and not lie to ourselves and not lie to other people, and really just own up to it. Lying causes bigger problems anyway. Than the original situation. You end up digging yourself into a deeper and deeper and deeper hole. My mom used to say, oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. So, and then you have to start remembering what lies you told and who you told what and all that kind of stuff. It's just so much simpler just to deal with it, apologize, not do it again, but we do have that sense of self-justification where we want to justify our own actions. Number two is never, don't respond. I read number one again. No, don't respond more quickly than you need to. Sometimes, and this can be specifically in a work situation. Sometimes if you jump in, you might make it worse. So you don't want to react too quickly because your emotions could be involved. Your other people's emotions are high. Sometimes you just need to walk out and settle, get organized, get your brain in gear, get unemotional, and then readdress the problem. So don't respond more quickly than you have to. Number three, understanding your ethical and moral responsibilities and adhering to any agreements you may have made. You may be in there and you made an agreement and you broke that agreement, and that's part of the mistake that you made. And ethically and morally, ethically and morally, you just have to stick with what you're supposed to do. You're a pro at jumping the gun, Chelsea. Hey, Lisa, good morning. Dad used to say you have a good memory to be a liar. You have to have a good memory to be a liar. I remember him saying that. Yeah. Integrity. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, don't jump the gun. I'm a gun jumper, too. Number 3, your ethical and moral responsibility. Adhere to all agreements you've made. I'm a little stuff up. I just realized I had something in my head. Sometimes you need to, number 4 is sometimes you need to reach out. Depending on how big the mistake is, sometimes it's good to reach out, and sometimes you need to reach out and say, okay, I really stepped in it. I need to fix this. Hey, thanks, Jeff. It's a video. Da-da-da-da. I don't want anybody thinking this is my background or my living room. Mom used to say I needed a better memory too. Yeah, yeah, that's so funny. Oh, sorry for sniffling. That's so rude. So yeah, reaching out to outside experts or somebody that you trust that can give you advice, perspective, because sometimes when we step in it, we really step in it. And so sometimes those mistakes can be a lot bigger than originally thought. So it's good to have somebody that we can trust, we can reach out to. And that takes you to number 5, devising a strategy. And it has to be based on facts, on logic, and sound advice. And again, the bigger the problem, you might want to pull in outside counsel of somebody to help you make a plan of how to get out of it, depending on how big the mistake is. But of course, all of these are all leading to the same thing, owning it. You got to own the mistake and do something to repair the damage that's been done. And finally, prepare in advance how and what you're going to say. And this kind of goes back to not jumping the gun, because sometimes in your apology, you can make it worse. And I've had, again, with people going through 12-step programs that have come to apologize, and it's like, okay, I accept your apology, but now I'm really hurt. I'm not going to get into details, but yeah, you just have to prepare in advance of what you're going to say and make sure that, and even writing it down. If you are going to call somebody on the phone, it's nice to have some talking points, because that's why I always have talking points, because I will very easily get off track. And I haven't even kissed the Blarney Stone yet. And, so I can easily get off track. But yeah, we're doing the 4-step. Yeah, we were talking about that. I've used a counselor or mediator and someone not connected. Yeah. It's good to, and Lisa, what I've talked about before is I have people in my family, in my extended family, like in-laws, and so I have a lot of addiction in my life that surrounds my life, and I happen to be friends with one of the top researchers. Actually, I'm friends with his wife. I'm really good friends with his wife, and she married him, and now I'm friends with him. And I want to get him on the show and interview him, because I think addiction is so widespread. And there's so many misunderstandings about it that I want to bring in some people and talk about it more on a more regular basis. Because all of our lives are impacted, whether we realize it or not. We may work with an addict or a recovering addict. We may have someone in our family or an extended family. We may have somebody in our church circles or something like that. And I think it's important to understand. It's hard to understand it from both sides sometimes, because sometimes being a victim of somebody has an addiction, being impacted, I don't want to say a victim, being impacted by someone that has an addiction, it's hard to look at it from their point of view sometimes. And so I do want to bring in some people to talk about that. Let me see, to own it. You have to weigh your motives for apologizing. Yep. Absolutely. If you're feeling better for you or for them. Yeah, I think that's a chick thing. Sometimes someone's mad at you, but you don't know what for. Yeah, that happens a lot. Like, what did I do? I don't even know. But you don't know how to bring it up. Yeah, that's a good point too. Read The Alcohol Troubled Person by Ellen Willoughby. Yep. No, have. Yeah, I think I've read them all. I get my Hazelton email every morning, so like I said, I don't think you were here yet, but I started going to Al-Anon either my last year in college or right out of college. just because of being impacted by people in my life. So, oh, no kidding. Well, maybe we'll have him on the show then. That's fantastic. No, seriously, we might. Especially with Skype. I just interview people through Skype as long as they've got a good, connection, a good computer, and a good microphone, some decent lighting so we can see them. You can have anybody on the show. That would be fantastic. So sometimes Victoria says you wish someone would tell you if you hurt them, so you could apologize. Yeah, especially, and I'm a bull in a china shop. So I don't mean to be mean, and I don't mean to say things that are mean. I think that's because I am a off the charts choleric. If you know anything about the temperaments, or if you're in my temperaments class, we just covered cholerics, that I'll say things, and thankfully my husband's there to like, that was a little harsh. Like, oh, seriously? I was just like stating a fact. So I think my female friends are cholerics, and I have a lot of guy friends. Simply because I kind of like shoot from the hip and I don't realize it. So I have hurt people and not even realize that I've said anything hurtful. There's one incident in particular that I remember, and I still to this day, my husband was like, yeah, that's a little harsh. I'm like, I still to this day don't see anything wrong with that comment, but okay. So, especially now knowing other things. But anyway. Linda says, I've been in Overeaters Anonymous for 36 years and learned so much about how to live my life. And I think that's the beautiful thing about, yeah, I am blunt, aren't I? I think that's the thing about these 12-step programs. And I think Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Bill was Catholic. Because when you go through the 12 steps, you're like, this is pretty darn Catholic, So it's interesting how a lot of it is stay in your own lane and work on yourself and stay out of other people's business unless they come to you, right? So I have learned a lot, and I've learned to be, more of a duck and let things roll off my back and not be so impacted and hurt by things, and learn to let people discover things on their own. And I think that was really important for me, especially when it came to my faith. It took me a long time to get to where I am in my faith. And I see somebody who's where I was 20 years ago, and I'm like, oh, I want to pluck them out of where they are and bring them to where I am. But they have their own journey, and people have to do things in their own speed and their own, at their own rate, in their own lane, at their own time, right, with their own things. And I think that's the thing I learned a lot in Al-Anon. I went to Coda for a little bit. So I was going to make a joke. That would be inappropriate. So anyway, it's hard when you're controlling. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Wilma, how are you? Good morning. Refreshing. Yeah, always know where you stand. Sister calls me a bomb dropper. Yeah, sounds like I like to drop the blunt truth bomb and then I duck and can't believe it exploded. Yeah, that's kind of funny. It's hard when you're controlling. Yeah. I like blunt. I prefer to know where I am with a person so I can relax around them. Yeah. Yeah, letting go is a bitch. I missed the cleric discussion. 100% cleric. What does that mean? And what do I do? Are you in the class, Nancy? Yeah, because I'm ENTJ. If you go by Myers-Briggs, 1%, less than 1% of women are ENTJs, and 3% of men. So when you're that high of a choleric and that strong of a choleric and that strong of a personality, it blinds you to some things. So it's been very eye-opening to study the temperaments and see how they interact and how they work together. And I can see now how some of the things I say or how I say them, where there's a difference between being blunt and being hurtful. You know what I mean? So I just have learned to be very careful. Let me see. Just to slake a thirst. Never heard of that one. It's incredible bio of a candidate for sainthood who used his faith to overcome alcoholism. Huh. How did I miss that one? Oh, you just stumble on us. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have, oh my gosh, look at all these mutual friends we have. 338 mutual friends, Nancy. ESTJ. Okay. Yep. Yeah, you know, the Myers-Briggs test is, okay, now we're getting into my area of super expertise here with the temperaments. Myers-Briggs, I can take it. Pretty much I'm an ENTJ, but if I'm in a social situation and I take it, I come out differently. And if I'm in, because I'm an ambivert, mostly an extrovert, but I lean toward an ambivert, and because I have to have my alone time to recharge. So the way I teach temperaments is I weave in, I take all the different form, if you do Kersey or ENTJ or Myers-Briggs or the DISC profile or the sanguine choleric, system, or I take all of those and incorporate them into one. And then I also add in the differences between men and women. For example, like I said, 1% of women are cholerics, 3% of men. So how does our gender manifest differently in those different temperaments and with our personality? And then how you have nature and nurture. So I can be an ENTJ with another ENTJ, a high choleric with another high choleric, or a high D, another high D if you're using the DISC program, etc. And how being a woman will impact that differently, but also your family of origin, the church you grew up in, the church life you grew up in, the part of the world you grew up in, the part of the country you grew up in, how you're, so all of it impacts that differently and how that manifests differently for us. So that's what the class is. And we're on, I think, week 3 of a 6-week class. Oh, Matt Talbot. Okay, that's what it is. Knowing temperament's a major asset in dealing with people. It really, truly is. Knowing yourself so that you can know others too. And I also, the way I teach it, like the Myers-Briggs is like, this is who you are, this is what you're good at. But I go deeper than that with like, here's your faults and here's what you need to fix. So, and this is how you're perceived by others, that type of thing. So basically learning to balance out all those different temperaments. I think the link might still be active, and it could be the sale price that's still active. It's a $397 class that's $97 if you use, I think it's this link, bit.ly/4 temperaments. I believe that's the link. Hold on a second. Oh, forgot to copy it. Oh, yeah, and I just found this too. Let me copy this. I put it in the show notes. I just found that this morning. It's called Honey. How in the world did I miss this? This is, it'll search all over the internet for a sale price or coupons. You know how you go to Coupon Me Not or Retail Me Not or something like that, and you go look for these coupons? There's an app for your browser that does that for you. It just goes and searches all these websites. It actually works with Amazon, which is where I do most of my shopping. So I wanted to share that as well. For temp register, that's what it is. Yeah. That's the actual link. But bit.ly/4 temp register is the other link. So, yeah, so absolutely jump on that app. It's called Honey. Let me just get rid of this one. I'm going to delete that comment because it's the wrong link. Sorry for sniffling. There you go. Yeah, so it'll go all over the place and find the sale price. All right, so back to our notes. See why I need notes? What to do after you've made the mistake. Number 1, never lie. Own it. Number 2, don't respond more quickly than you need to. Number 3, understand your ethical and moral responsibilities, or maybe legal, depending how big of a pile you stepped in. Adhere to all agreements that you've made. Number 4, reach to outside experts that can provide you with ideas, advice, and insight. Number 5, devise a strategy that's based on facts, not emotion, logic, and sound advice. And number 6, prepare in advance what you're going to say, how you're going to say it, how you're going to communicate, and then go in with vulnerability, humility, openness, honesty, but confidence, knowing that you're doing the right thing. And I think that's the big thing, is when you apologize after you've made a mistake and you're owning it, you're doing the right thing. And so let that give you energy and confidence when you're approaching somebody and asking for forgiveness. You're doing the right thing. So be not afraid. I don't need to apologize for sniffling. You know, that it's kind of a pet peeve of mine when I'm on the phone with somebody and they're like, you know, just move the phone out of the way, you know, or they sneeze into the phone or something. I'm like, come on. I mean, how much does it take to just move it out of the way? See, I'm blunt. I don't think it's preparing a speech. I think there's things that you like, talking points. It's a good point, Lisa. For me, there's things, if I'm going to apologize for something, I want to make sure that I say this, 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 and this. So for a lot of things I do, I have talking points, bullet points that I write down that are things that I want to make sure that I say. So I'm not like talking about, you know, preparing a speech and going in and reading your speech off your card. This is my panna cotta recipe from last night. I'm not talking about reading a speech off a card, but there's just things I want to make sure that I say and apologize for, and I just, and that keeps me organized so that I don't ramble off into unintended conversations. So, speech preparing ahead. Speechless. Oh yeah, speechless. That's funny. I read what you meant. So that's good. So those are things to do after you've made a mistake. So hopefully that helps you. And as we are winding up our year and looking back on the past year, now is just a good time to reflect too, if there are any apologies that we need to make. And hopefully this will help you to head into that. And now is time for prayer requests. If y'all want to start putting in, like preparing for confession. Yeah, absolutely. Prayer request time, if you want to get those prayer requests going. Oh my goodness, look at all the prayer requests over here in my private group. We got a ton of them over here. How many women are in our group now? 32. Wow, 3,200. That's a big group. All right. Okay. For LW, her preemie twins, that they stay healthy. I'm sorry I keep posting this. My biggest worry. There's so much going around, and my girls are so fragile. Thank you again. Oh, bless her heart. For LD, again, for the homeless and the hungry. For KA, her family's 2 special intentions. Of course, for Pam and Evie and Michael John, for this Thanksgiving for the successful kidney transplant that has been so long coming, so long in coming, and getting choked up again. For the fact that Evie couldn't be there with her daughter and her son because she was sick and she couldn't be there for the surgery. So huge Thanksgiving for that. For DG, for her nephew's restoration. And here I go again, crying, and I can't see. For TM, for the school coming up this January, she'll be attending with a bunch of young people for safe travels. For LL, peace in the world and politicians to lead our country wisely. For ET, oh, I love that. Praying for unborn child. She hasn't had an ultrasound, and she is not feeling her child right now. For KL, safe travels and family relationships. For NT, for her child to heal. Husband stressed because he's leaving his job. His father died, and wow, a lot going on in MT's life. So special prayers for her. Let me come back over to us. Hey, well, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, we like to, I think that's what sets us apart. We try to pray for each other. Praying for courage for Maria. And Elise for RA, who's suicidal. Whoa, covering them with prayer for to come out of that desolation. End to abortion for daughter Natalie. 18th birthday. Wow, you got a couple of birthdays right in a row with your girls. For Tommy Lama, needs new liver. Why do I know that name? Prayers for my estranged son, who's 21. Told him yesterday, I don't want him in my life until he treats me properly as mothers. He's mistreated you badly. Set your boundaries. Good for you. Sorry about that. Prayers for Sherry's friend Lisa, who's suffering with liver cancer. Lori asks for praying for healing relationships. Continued prayers for her granddaughter and our country's leadership. Prayers for all the women who lead their clans. Yeah. Oh, need their clans or lead their clans. Much love to the healers as well. Amen. For friends, Victoria asks for prayers for friends who have lost loved ones this Christmas season. It's been tragic. I've heard a lot of stories. May their souls and the souls of the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace. Nancy prays for Trump and his team to succeed and bring the country back to God. Please, God. Chelsea said for prayers for the long trip you're taking with her 8-year-old. Going to pack up your mom and move down to live beside me. Wow. A lot of emotional healing she deserves. Hey, good morning, Lisa. For Lisa's prayers for her 1-year-old nephew who's having surgery next week. Got to turn out the chillins. Sherry's going to go take care of her mares. Patricia, prayers for the conversion of nephew, financial need. Maria forgot to mention prayers for her sister, that her workplace treats her well. Oh, thank you, Lisa. She says, Happy New Year, dear lady. We're blessed to have you in our lives. And I'm blessed to have you in my lives, too. I mean, this is, after the whole cancer thing, this has been an amazing motivation for me to get up and have coffee with my friends every morning, well, Monday through Friday, in the morning. And because, wow, it was tough to get out of bed for a long time. I was so exhausted and so sick, and even the treatment for the cancer was exhausting. And for all the people that have asked for that, that's actually what I'm shooting this afternoon in front of the green screen. I've got 2 things I'm shooting this afternoon, and one of them was my cancer treatment plan and how I overcame cancer naturally. So, yeah, I'm planning on shooting that today. So anyway, have a glorious, one more prayer request. A couple more prayer requests, missed them. Debbie says for hubby's complete recovery from his brain bleed. How did I miss that one, Debbie? What's going on? That's horrible. For sick baby girl, says Melina, and personal intentions, Dorothy Louise, special intentions. And of course for my health and for my business. We're working on my business plan this weekend. And I have special intentions and prayer requests for my family as well. One of them is that we get the money now that we had to spend $5,000 to get the car repaired. We couldn't finish it. 2 years now we've been trying to get this kitchen finished. And then we ripped up our bathroom. So now we don't have one of our bathrooms out of our 3. We got 5 people in the house. So we have 2 bathrooms. I mean, we're not hurting, but 1 shower works out of the 3. So one of them's ripped out, and we were replacing it. It's like $1,000 job. We ended up spending $5,000 to get a car repaired. So now we have this big hole in the ground in the bathroom. Thankfully, we don't have little toddlers running around. Oh gosh. Oh, Tony Lama, the Western Boot Comedy. I bet you that's what I'm thinking of. You're right, Brandon. Rick says for a boy I know who's almost 3 and can't talk. Nobody knows why. Wow. There's been many studies with children that listen like that they may be a genius inside and they're just waiting to have something we're saying, and then all of a sudden they start talking in complete sentences. But yeah, definitely pray for that. That can be very stressful for a family, and sometimes you don't know if the speech center of their brain is not working properly. So, hey Janet, thanks for the motivation. Thanks for being here. Congratulations on another wonderful workout this morning. Good job. All right, now we're going to take out of here. You're always right, Brandon. Let's just admit it. The sooner we accept it, the happier we will all be. That you're always right. All right. If you have a very, very safe weekend, if you're out and traveling about, because all the amateurs are out drinking this weekend. So have a very safe, blessed, and glorious New Year weekend. And we will see you Monday morning. Take care, my friends. God bless. Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Bye now.